Back on Sports 225, visiting with Chad Durbin, Major League Baseball pitcher and professional baseball player for 17 years. Later on in the show, Glenn Guilbeau, the Gannett News Service, who gained notoriety last week as only one of 2 AP voters not to pick Alabama #1 in the preseason. You're a huge college football fan. You and I have talked about this before, how in the Major League clubhouses, all the guys with college affiliations get on each other this time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've always been a huge LSU fan, even though you didn't go there. You were going to.
Yeah. I mean, in town here, high school here, all that. Yeah, I'm an LSU fan through and through. Loved Saban when he was here, and now enjoy disliking his team when he comes to town or we go play them. But what I like about big league clubhouses and college football is that it's towards the end of the year. This is the time of year. I was going to bring this up too with the beanings. In late August, it's 100 degrees everywhere. Tempers flare a whole lot easier. You're grinding it out. There's 6 weeks, 7 weeks left, and you're pressing. So your temper flares up a lot quicker. And if somebody does something, there's a reaction a whole lot quicker than in April or late September. But yeah, this time of year is fun in the clubhouse because you need breaks from the reality of, hey, we have 6 weeks left and I'm tired and maybe I'm not putting up the same numbers that or the numbers I'd like to. And talking college football, you got all these guys on the West Coast that think that the Pac-4 or whatever it is now is extremely competitive in comparison with the SEC or the ACC or the Big Ten, or I think there's 12 teams, but they still keep the name, whatever. I'm obviously in favor of the SEC, and it's the best product out there in college football, and the speed on the field's evident every time we play in a championship game. But I enjoy it. The ribbing is fun. I got to sit in a clubhouse and watch Michigan lose to a D2 school, or it was.
When they lost to App State.
Yeah, it was fantastic. You were going to compete with Vanderbilt, one of our lower end teams at the time. It was enjoyable.
All right. Let's take a couple of baseball issues while I got you before you get out of here. No, it's all right. All right. Performance enhancing drugs by all different names, this and that. When was the first time you realized guys were taking them?
I want to say my first full season in '97. I saw guys taking.
Was that with the Royals?
It was with the Royals. I was in Lansing, Michigan. In fact, Saban was in East Lansing over there, Michigan State. But I saw guys taking amphetamines. I wasn't aware of the steroid stuff until about a year later. We had Giambi, and his younger brother, was part of our organization. So I became aware that all the hard work that I was doing every offseason to gain 10 pounds, hard work. I was coming in and I was 15 pounds lighter than guys, and they were throwing 5 miles an hour harder. I couldn't figure it out, and it was naivety. I just did not understand. And then as it all started to make sense to me, oh, okay, they're cheating. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't illegal back then. It may be illegal on the street, but it wasn't illegal in baseball terms.
Right.
And the more it goes on,
no, human growth hormone's not illegal.
No, it's not. No. It's not illegal. And but from a baseball standpoint, you're getting a competitive advantage that doesn't exist for everybody else by taking those. And you're not just affecting the competition on the field. You're also affecting, when you get busted, Ryan Braun or A-Rod, the handshake that meant something to a kid that came and saw you in spring training and you were his hero. I mean, there's a lot of on-field and off-field peripherals that blow my mind when I start to think about. They took money out of guys' hands. They took jobs away from guys that were doing it the right way. And I think the PED issue is embarrassing. It's taken. I mean, football is probably the most popular sport in the country now. Baseball is my favorite sport, obviously. Paid the bills and I'm happy. But I think the penalties need to be severe. Some guys are saying, second strike, you're out of the game. There's all kinds of ways to go about it. I want it to be as strict as possible in a collective bargaining type situation. But I never did anything, and I'm proud of it. My numbers, I think I have a career 5 ERA. Maybe it would have been a lot better if I did or didn't. I mean, whatever happened, or maybe if these guys didn't use it.
But that's Chad's told me before he didn't ever do any performance-enhancing drugs, and I believe you, and your bulk indicates it as such. No, but there had been times when you were tempted because you had opportunity.
I wasn't tempted, and maybe not necessarily because of the baseball aspect of it, but there were no long-term studies showing that what you're doing to your body wouldn't affect your unborn children. or that type of thing. So I was more from a moral and ethical standpoint, not baseball involved, thinking about my kids' futures and stuff like that. And as far as the competition on the field, I felt like I was very competitive, doing it the right way. I think I took creatine in '97 and gained like 10 pounds more than I should have.
That's the same stuff that McGuire was eating, though, wasn't it?
I think he was taking an androtestosterone
yeah.
type deal, and creatine was widely used.
Weightlifters
everywhere.
used it, workout people, whatever.
And I used it, and I actually, my body was cramping up. I wasn't drinking enough water, but I did gain the weight that they wanted me to gain in an off season. Well, I lost it right away, and I didn't like taking it at all because I felt like it wasn't what my body would have done naturally. And I think that a lot of guys fall out of the game shortly thereafter using steroids because your muscles grow, your ligaments don't. I mean, if you haven't heard that, go look it up online.
No, there are guys it's amazing how in the last few years, since the testing's been tougher, and there's been so much scrutiny on this, how their performances have dropped and their injuries have increased.
Absolutely.
And you and I both know who we're talking about in different names. All right, real quick, got a couple minutes. Yasiel Puig, greatest on-field baseball story since Fred Lynn in 1975, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, I think Vince Scully called him a wild horse out there, and he's very exciting. He's anti-media.
He doesn't get that part at all, does he?
And I understand that. The people I know that are in the clubhouse and cover him say that Juan Uribe is a huge help in being the conduit.
But he doesn't speak English.
He doesn't speak English. He sees, I mean, I wouldn't want to speak to 40, 50 members of the media when I can't communicate what I'm trying to say without a translator.
Right.
But as far as watching him play baseball, and run into walls and throw 95, 100 mile an hour, P-rods to home plate to get guys out and swinging at everything and taking extra bases and doing just really dumb things, but you can relate to that as a human being and you want that energy on the field. I mean, he's obviously not the most valuable player or whatever of the entire year, but talk about inserting an electric shock into that baseball franchise. I mean, they're like 48-7.
It's crazy.
Since
well, a 22-year-old with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who I just hope that we don't find out that he's actually 30 and all juiced up. Last question.
Yeah.
Who wins it all this year?
I have a rough time. I think the Detroit Tigers are built for the playoffs. What I'd like to see is the Dodgers in Detroit head off. Kershaw and Verlander, Game 1. Game 2, Greinke and Scherzer, who's 18-1 at the time, at this moment. Yeah.
And
then Game 3 could be any of 3 or 4 guys that they want to put together, but great offenses.
See Puig, see Cabrera.
Oh yeah, I think it'd just be fantastic for baseball.
Yeah.
One big market and one, you got superstars, Hall of Famers playing with Miggy and Verlander on the other team.
Yeah, in a city that just declared bankruptcy.
Absolutely.
Well, L.A., Detroit, slightly different. Chad, thanks.
Yeah.
Chad Durbin. We will visit with him again on Sports 225 when we get back from this break. The inimitable Glenn Guilbeau of the Gannett News Service. I'm Lee Feinswag. We'll be right back.